Here is a question. I sense there is a way to be superhuman instantly, without process, lessons, personal growth. What is the key? We very much enjoy your perspective. Yes, 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 yes. Go with that sense. Is the sense you're knowing? When is the knowing actualized? The knowing is actualized when you allow yourself to sit in it long enough. It is truth. Humans are designed in this way. The only thing that prevents humanity is the belief in process. The only thing that prevents humanity from experiencing its original design, its true design, its omnipotent design, is this sense that you are not complete. You are not complete. You are not complete. Do you believe in growth, Blessed One? Do you believe in evolution? Interesting question. Interesting question. Does consciousness itself evolve? Interesting question. Or is this a human view that helps justify humanity's belief in itself? What is the key? The key is your attention. Your attention, Blessed One. Are you enough? Is your attention on that? Are you already complete? Is your attention on that? It's not about what you can achieve. It's about being the most of who you are. We say unto you, the one who has asked this question, allow your daily focus to be being as much as you can. And being as much as you can means being every aspect of you, all of it. All of it. Leave nothing apart. Here is our question again. I am tiring of being in trust and seeing so much fall away, specifically money. Does this relate to moving out of cause and effect? Stop waiting for something to come to us as a result of following the guidance to stay in trust. Blessed One, we say unto you, be very aware that you are not creating for effect. Be very aware again that you are creating because it's your right to, and it's your exercise and vitality to express in this way. In this regard, there is no perceived system of exchange, and therefore as the sun, you shine even brighter. Can you imagine if the sun was trying to burn in a particular direction and wait for the reflection of itself to come off that planet to know that it exists? We say unto you that the time is coming for you, Blessed One, to become so visible that that is your only desire. It is not in an effect other than your knowing that your light is moving even further and further and further and further beyond you. What is it that you are trusting in? Are you trusting in an effect? Are you trusting in a universe? Or are you trusting in yourself to know that every time you feel an inclination to express, it is in complete accordance with the source energy that is you? Trust yourself, Blessed One. Do not seek for evidence of your validity in your external environment, but you will begin to see agreement and amplification in this coming year, we say unto you. Here is another question. What do you do if there are beliefs in the DNA or the subconscious you are not even aware of that are creating experiences for you? How do you move beyond limited beliefs? Well, Blessed One, how much do you believe that they contain you? Again, it is very important that you understand that acknowledgement is key, not removal. We acknowledge this exists at some level, in some reality. There is a belief that this exists. Fascinating. Now, where else is my attention? Where else is my attention? Because remember, the game is not removing beliefs. The game is not removing anything. The game is moving into an experience where you can choose to engage with it or not. That's what makes you superhuman. That's the superhuman. The superhuman can choose where they want to engage their focus and amongst which fabric of belief they wish to experience themselves. So we say unto you, it's wise for you to acknowledge that they exist. And then what else? What else? Where else is my focus and attention? Because the more that your focus is within that, the more you experience that. Do you understand? Here we have another question. At times, people will say they're expressing their truth, yet their words are judging another. There seems to be a misconception of what expressing your truth means. How do we handle that? Well, we say unto you that truth, the only truth that matters is what arises in you. Even when you feel resonance in another, even when you hear the words of another, perhaps you are feeling resonance with what we are saying at this time, perhaps not. Understand that the only truth that you can ascertain or access is what you are experiencing. Anything else is just an extension of you. So it's not about discerning what is truth and what is not. Discernment means something that you are assessing something that is beyond you, and you cannot. The only truth that arises is what arises within you. The issue for humans is you don't validate yourselves. You don't validate your truth. And even then you try to analyze it. This is my truth in this moment. Where does that come from? Is that my emotions? Is that my ego? Is that my super consciousness? Where is this coming from? So to the one that has asked this question about truth, in that moment, when another human makes a judgment, that is their truth. So you can acknowledge that that's their truth. But for you, the only thing that really matters is what your truth is. It is always wise to go back to what is my truth. And there is not one that is more important than another, because remember, all perceived points of consciousness all come from the one source. Consciousness expresses itself in many ways. Here is another question. I know that all I need is within me, yet I cannot feel full access to this. If I believe it, yet I am just believing something I have not experienced. Why is this? Well, Blessed One, there is a knowing within you. There is a knowing. And perhaps you may say unto us, I know it, but I don't experience it. All that you need to understand is that you know it. That's it. Because when you know it and you know that that's enough, you begin to experience it in amplification. You begin to experience it in agreement with you. It is as if you are looking for evidence. Now be very, very careful, because when you look at evidence, when you look for evidence, immediately you're in cause and effect. Immediately you're in distance. So it's very important for you, Blessed One who has asked the question, to know what you know. I know it. If you know it, you will begin to experience it. It's not about looking for evidence. As soon as you look for evidence, you have very, 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 very little impact on your environment. That is what we say to you, because you have gone back into third dimensional form. And third dimensional form means you have limited capacity. So knowing is enough. It is the same for those of you who have had experiences where you have had multidimensional experiences. Perhaps those of you who have seen the light, or seen through reality, or had these incredible knowings that occur for you that do not seem to be sustainable. We say unto you, these experiences happen for you so that you know. Now, you may then go on to experience something else. You may go on to experience a completely different version of reality to that, but you never lose that experience. You know it. You can't unknow it. What humans like to do is they like to look for sustainable experience based on what they know, rather than I know this in this moment, and then I know this, and then I know this. So it's not about accessing what you know. It's about knowing that you know it, and then allowing yourself to know different things. For example, you know the joy of falling in love, but you also know what it feels like to have grief. You know these things. You don't forget these things. Just as the novice who will climb the mountain and go to the top of the mountain, as we have explained to one of our friends recently. You go to the top of the mountain, and what happens when you get to the top of the mountain? Can you remember what it felt like? Yes. Can you remember the view that was there? Yes. And so you come down the mountain. Why do you need to go up the mountain again? You know it. You've seen it. You remember it. That experience stays with you. You do not lose it. So Blessed One, if you know that all you need is within you, you know it. And then you have a different experience. It's not about sustaining it. Be very aware. We have more questions, many, many questions on this day, Blessed Ones. Interesting things. The throat has been felt. Seeing belief systems. Stronger sense of connection with the core of a planet. Yes, 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 yes. So you are beginning to understand the shared experience we think of. Programming and conditioning. Why has that occurred? Often. What group designed and produced that? Well, what group? Consciousness. Consciousness, consciousness, consciousness again. It's not about dismantling it. It's not about destroying it. It's about, well, this exists, and now we have the capacity to exist within something else. Remember what we have said unto you about the photographer with the lens. You can choose to hone in on something, and then it exists as a story, or you can choose to expand out. Another question. Earth is very abundant, and there is often more than plenty of everything for an abundant life. Yet many people remain marginalized, deprived, existing in disparity, especially in developed boutiques. Unnecessary chemicals, toxins, pollutants. Regenerative alternatives exist. When and how will it be possible to uplift the whole planet into a state of abundance, peace, prosperity, and equilibrium? Once again, blessed ones. This is not about shifting what is already in view. This is not about saving the planet. This is about understanding that it exists. Where is your attention? What else exists? What are the alternative views? It is not a question of looking through the lens and looking at the animal on the savannah and then still looking at it from a different view. Oh, now we see the back of it. Now we see the front of it. Now we shift the camera around and now we can view it doing this. That's not changing your view. Changing your view is widening your aperture so that you can experience something different within it. Because even though many may say to us, well, what is the point of being a creative human if we can't create change? It's not about creating change. It's about creating new. It's discovering something else, creating a new story. How are you going to do that if you can't move your lens off a particular story of belief? So this is not ambivalence. This is widening the view to be able to encompass what is possible, and then putting your focus on that. How is this not practical for humanity? Oh, but look, there's this. Now, what you're saying, Blessed One, is that these other alternatives already exist. Yes, but how many humans are focused on it? You see, where is the attention? Where is the attention going? Is the attention on the problem, or is the attention on the alternative? This is very important. It's very important. So it's not about bringing the balance back into the planet. It's about balancing out the possibilities. It's about balancing out your view. It's about moving from a very macroscopic view to a microscopic view to a macroscopic view. And then you begin to understand that the alternatives are available. Are you engaging with that reality or not? Here is another question. Are we traveling into other experiences when we perceive things as a dream? Are dreams traveling into other experiences? Dreams, for many of you, are becoming more and more lucid. They're becoming more and more lucid because you're becoming more aware of alternate states of reality. You're becoming more aware of your superhuman capacity to experience different states of reality at once. So your dreams are becoming less unconscious and more conscious as your energy and your vibration and the totality of who you are begins to embody your physical body. One of the reasons you're also wanting to sleep more often or more intermittently is because what was previously unconscious is becoming conscious in you. So we wouldn't say you're traveling to other experiences. We would say that your awareness is moving into different forms of reality. And your brain in particular, through a lot of the rewiring of pathways, through the pineal, the heart, the sacral, and through the visual cortex at the back of the brain in recent times, is now beginning to allow you to recall, to retain, to ascertain your experiences in these other realities. Here is another question. Are we actually creating something new if the creation already exists? Or are we just moving our focus to it? Well, Do these things occur simultaneously, Blessed One? Does the focus of consciousness occur simultaneously with creation? Question, does it exist if you can't see it? The moment you see it, does it exist? We will leave you with that one to ponder upon. I continue to have very limiting repetitive experiences. I acknowledge them whenever they arise, but I never feel like I'm in agreement with anything. Are you in agreement with your limiting repetitive experiences? Yes, they exist. What else? So, Blessed One, we challenge you to be in agreement with your limiting experiences, what you believe to be your limiting experiences. Perhaps they are a doorway into more. Question. I have this feeling of not having any direction most of the time. It's like I don't care about anything anymore and I just want to go with the flow, yet I keep being reminded that I need focus, direction, and intention for things to manifest in my life. We say that you need focus, but just be aware of where your focus is. My focus is here at this time. My focus is here at this time. My focus is here at this time. We would not understand that it's about intention or direction. You begin with focus and then direction emerges from this place. Intention itself, Blessed One, only emerges from focus. It's very difficult to shift your focus. It's very difficult to have an intention for a focus, is it not? So be at peace and ease, knowing that if you are deliberately present with your focus, from that arises direction. Be deliberately present with your focus. Now, let us speak about presence and action. This is very important. When we speak about presence and action, many people talk about being consciously aware or being consciously available. What humans have learned to do is to take action to become present. I'm going to take action to go to India and sit in an ashram. I'm going to take action to meditate in this moment. I'm going to take action to simplify my life. I'm going to take action to change my diet. I'm going to take action to become more conscious. Yet we say unto you that the only action that really matters at this time is deliberate action. And deliberate action can only arise from a state of deliberate presence. In other words, you cannot action yourself into presence. You can only be in presence and allow action to arise from that. That's the new movement in 2020 for humanity. Be in presence and then action arises from that, without purpose, without intent, without knowing what it's for. It's an action that arises from the 0 point. That's newness. That's where the movement is at this time. So for those of you who are struggling to take action to be present, do not discourage yourselves. Do not reproach. This is about allowing yourself to be in presence. What action arises from that? Sometimes it will be no action. Sometimes it will be, now we will have a glass of water. Sometimes it will be, now I will go and write this. There's no intention, perceived intention, when action, deliberate action, arises from deliberate purpose. So watch what you can create for your experience from that place. Here is a question. Please share it about holding 0 within the 2 and moving between the 2 seamlessly, particularly in amongst human chaos rather than within stillness. Well, it's not so much about holding one within the other, Blessed One. It's about acknowledging that both of them exist, both of them are valid. You are going to have experiences of both and being in complete agreement with it. Now, this is a challenge because humans find it very, very, very difficult to be in agreement in duality. I don't like what I'm seeing. I'm not in agreement with this. When we use the word agreement and being present within, whether you're in the 2 or the 0, it's about acknowledgement without assessment. This exists. Coding within the DNA, this exists. The bushfires and decimation of the planet in Australia, this exists. I am in acknowledgement of it. I agree that it exists. And then the 0 is a place of I can only feel myself in this. I can only feel myself. Am I in disregard? Am I in ambivalence? Do I lack compassion? I only feel this. I only feel myself. And so there's an experience where you feel the shared experience and then you feel yourself. You feel the shared experience and then you feel yourself. What allows you to move between the two seamlessly, as you express it, seamlessly, is the ability to be in the two and acknowledge what is you observe in the two without assessment. This really does allow you to move back and forth more rapidly, and it becomes more a rhythm in your daily experience rather than a disruption that you feel that you cannot control. Here is another question. What is the potential for multiple people consciously visualizing and sending their intention or prayer for any particular outcome to be achieved, particular a positive outcome? So we're seeing a lot of this at this time. For example, with the fire in Australia, what is the effect of intentionally positive group versus the passively observant mass media fed majority? Well, blessed one, we say unto you, the effect from the both is a very similar mechanism. It's about where are we directing attention? Where are we directing focus? Are we directing focus to this reality, or are we directing focus to this reality? Because the more human attention any concept of reality has, the more it exists, or the more available it is to your awareness. So there's not a lot of difference in our view of the mechanics of how this works, whether it be through media, direction of attention, or whether it be through intention and prayer. This is a question of, again, where is the lens directed? Therefore, what is the reality that appears for you? Because remember, every human experiences a different version of reality. So it's always curious to us when humans become very obsessed, very, very focused, very diligent with creating one reality. This is the correct one that should be happening, not this one, but this one. It really is a question of, where are these multiple points of consciousness directed at this time? Are they directed here, or are they directed here, or are they directed somewhere else? This is when reality becomes more of a sense of sustainable reality. This is where a concept of reality becomes experienced by masses when there is a shared view, when there is multiple points of focusness of consciousness here. It holds the fabric of that reality for others to join it. Interesting, the mechanics of reality on your planet. Here is another question. My focus is to live within the awareness that magic exists and the universe responds to me with ease. Well, we will say unto you, you are the universe, blessed one. You are the magic. My partner doesn't believe that. How can I keep my vibration while I'm experiencing the opposite and see limitation through my partner? Again, we say unto you this, you are the universe, you are the magic. If you know who you are, then you will experience amplification of yourself in this year. And you become very astute and very aware that you may observe opposition in your partner, but you are not observing that with assessment. Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting point of view. It doesn't move you from your knowing of who and what you are. How interesting. You learn to observe without assessment. Just as our friend who asked about the truth, perhaps judgment from another. That's an interesting point of view. Do you understand? Yes, yes. Here is another question. For those who have responsibilities, work, deadlines, bills, how do they sit in consciousness and let the action arise in practical reality? Well, blessed one, again, you are in multiple realities of truth at this time. Therefore, you engage with that, and then you engage with something else. It doesn't mean that it has to become the totality of your reality. Responsibility in itself, this is not a question of releasing responsibility by letting the universe handle it, because you are the universe. It's a question of knowing that in your omnipotence, as we will take the phrase from our friend again, superhuman, you have the ability and great privilege to be able to engage with deadline and bills and then engage elsewhere. So even for this one, it is the same. They had a great belief that they needed to let go of responsibility in order to be free to do what they needed to do. And yet what they learned and understood is that they can engage in that way, and then they can engage in another way. Part of the frustration for them was that they had a childhood with an understanding that once you achieve a certain level of consciousness, you no longer have to deal with these things. Yet the freedom is, I can do that, and I can do that, and I can do that, and I can do that. Do you understand? It's not about getting rid of. It's about having the ability to shift your focus whenever you desire. Here is another question. Share any guidance about maintaining our presence and staying centered. Again, we say unto you, don't seek to maintain. It's a game you will never win. And you discourage yourselves. You have shame within yourselves because you cannot maintain it. We want to say unto you, it's knowing 2020. I have collective shared experience. I have experience of presence. I have collective shared experience. I have experience of presence. I have action, I have presence. I have action, I have presence. And eventually they became one and the same. But this is not the time for that, blessed one. So ask yourself, what are your goals here? What is your intention here? Is it to maintain one reality? Or is it to be the most that you can be within this, which is multidimensional, therefore maintaining and experiencing multiple realities and multiple versions of yourself? So there will be days and moments and minutes and hours and weeks and perhaps months where you experience yourself as unconscious. And then you will have moments or weeks or days or months or perhaps years where you experience yourself as conscious, or what you perceive to be as in present. Good for you. You get to do that when you're multidimensional. Please, 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 it is wise for you to release this expectation that you must stay in one particular state or point of view. That's not expansion, that's limitation. Here is a question. How about if you don't know who you are? Excellent, wonderful, because that means, blessed one, you can begin anew every day. I don't know who I am. What will I do on this day? I don't know what I like. What will I do on this day? Wonderful. Discover, enjoy. When you don't know who you are, blessed one, that's when you really experience what freedom is. Perhaps you can observe others around you. Perhaps you can begin to be the observer. You are also the experiencer in that moment, but you only get to become the observer and the experiencer when you don't have a true sense of identity. So we congratulate you. Your aim is not to discover your identity. Your aim is actually to lose it. And then you can be any identity, and you can change anytime you want to. Here is another expression. What is an example of prayer or invocation to most effectively ignite a divine consciousness to a situation of oneself? Well, blessed one. For you, we would say this, and for others. You are the center point of all reality. You, in this moment, are the only thing that exists. The spark of life. The all contained in this one moment. Not yet knowing what you are. Not yet knowing what you will be. The all that arises from the nothing. That is your divine spark. That is the divinity of consciousness within you. Blessed ones, in this moment, and we thank you for your focus and direction. In this moment, understand that 2020 is the beginning of humanity understanding that they can have multiple points of view, experience multiple realities. The year of shared experience. It's not about moving up or moving down. It's not about moving forward or moving backwards. It's about understanding that you are the center point of the sphere of reality, and you can move your lens in any direction. If you want change, give yourself permission to see things differently. Do not seek to sustain any particular view, but exercise your ability to shift it continuously. Yes, there are moments where you feel isolated in this, because when you become the center of the reality, when you are aware that you are the one that looks through the lens, it can feel as if you are the only one. It can feel as if you are in isolation, and yet it affords you the greatest view. And so your moments are peppered with agreement and with amplification of yourself, and moments of great joy when you realize that your voice is in unison with others, that you are not in singularity. When you look through the lens and you see the great herd of animals on the savannah, when you forget that you're looking through the lens, you become part of that, and you do not feel alone. You feel a part of a collective. And yet when you remind yourself that you are looking through the lens, you feel as if you are in isolation. So you have this experience at this end of the camera and this experience at this end of the camera. That is what 2020 is about for you, blessed ones. Lots of perceived disruption on the planet, lots of movement towards independence. But which end of the camera do you exist upon? And do you have the ability to move between them? It is our great honor and joy to be with you at this time, blessed ones. Peace be with you.